Welcome to this week's edition of Engineers Building Businesses, the podcast of the Texas Engineering and Technology Network. Every week we'll be showcasing the achievements of members of TETN so you can hear what they've been up to and get their advice for building a successful tech business here in Texas. We'll also bring you helpful information on how you can quickly grow and succeed in your business. Well, hello again, and welcome to another edition of the Texas Engineering and Technology Network podcast, Engineers Building Businesses. And this week, I'm very pleased to have Samir Ranjan with us. He's one of our members of the network. And Samir is going to be telling us about Catenate and what he does for society as a whole. So, Samir, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, David. I'm excited to be here, and let's get this cracking.
Okay, so what we like to do with this is to give you a chance to introduce yourself. Obviously, relationships are very important in today's society. So we want to give you a chance to introduce yourself, give people the opportunity to connect with you if they want. So first of all, just tell us a bit about your background and what led you to becoming an an entrepreneur.
Right, and as a matter of fact, I'm an engineer also, right? So I started my career as a mining engineer. I did my undergraduation in mining engineering from India, and I worked for one of the largest mining engineering firm in the world, where I was automating daily mining activities, especially underground mining activities. So at one point of a time, I was spending my 8 hours below 1,000 feet of the ground, and then I saw the rise of data, right? Because I was using with a lot of machinery, lot of data, because I was working in something which is like process automation. And I understood that data has a bigger game into the future. And I thought of doing my master's in data science, basically. And I came to Dallas at UTD and completed my master's. At the time, data was more about business intelligence, which was creating data warehouse, data lakes, and then doing some kind of predictive analytics on top of it. And I saw an opportunity that there are a lot of dark data that we have, basically the data that we never use, but we usually collect. And there is a chance that we can create a product out of it, which can help people a lot in understanding themselves and later for the organization to understand with whom they are working. So I created my first product, which was more centric on the student side. And then I pivoted and started creating a product which was more on the professional side. So that's what triggered the entrepreneurship journey. Uh, this is my personal belief. I never think you choose entrepreneurship life. I think it chooses you at the right moment, at the right time. And because I have never seen anyone planning the startup life, it just falls into your lap. And if you have courage to survive the ups and downs, you pursue that life. And that's what I have been doing. So from engineer to entrepreneurship, that's what I've done.
Absolutely, and as you say, there are certainly ups and downs in this entrepreneur's lifestyle for sure. So, I mean, that's a huge change from starting your career as basically a miner of thousands of feet underground to becoming a data analyst expert and basically an IT developer and everything. So that's a huge step change in your career path. But as you get into the entrepreneurship lifestyle, I mean, there are challenges. We're all aware of these. So what would you say has been your biggest personal transformation that you've come away with in this entrepreneur's journey?
Right. That's a pretty good question, because I was just thinking about it this morning. When when you become an entrepreneur, there are a lot of things. There are a lot of variables that becomes out of your control. Right. You now don't do a 9 to 5 job. You might not have a monthly stable income. You never know what market is going to accept, what it is going to reject, right? So you start responding to all the unknown variables more than you are doing to the known variables. And that's what I learned in this last 3 years, 3.5 years of my journey, that now I think like it made me more calmer, but it made me more sharp also, because Now I'm learning all the new things that is happening and predicting what might happen in the next 6 months, one year, 2 years, so that we can create a GTM plan, we can create a sales plan, we can understand what my customer wants.
Yep.
And that is something which I think is only possible due to entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. So that ability to look ahead and respond to the market and potentially even create or drive the market. I mean, that's obviously an ideal if you can get to that point.
Right. And I think it is more taking a rational approach to the decisions, because uh, when you are restricted with what you are doing, you are bound to take decisions just that favors you that day or that month, right? You're not thinking way ahead down the line. And now as an entrepreneur, I just don't have to think about myself, but my company, my people, affecting, like, my decision can affect like 20 families who are working with me.
Yeah.
So that the cycle of reaction you start understanding once you are on the driver's seat, and you understand, okay, you cannot hit the brake every time, you cannot accelerate every time, you need to think about 500 different things which are
Yeah.
not connected to you directly. So that has
And
been.
and and that's a very good point. I mean, I try and advise my clients. You know, your planning basis, really, it takes 90 days to do anything. You know, by the time you've come up with an idea, you've executed the plan, you've seen results. So trying to do anything in less than 90 days is just putting yourself under huge pressure. But on the other end, trying to predict more than 3 years ahead, there's so much change in society, so much change in business. It's a fool's errand. So I try and get my clients to work in a 12 quarter cycle. You know, focus on the next quarter. What are we absolutely going to deliver? And then out to the 3 year mark, what's the vision where we want to get to at that point?
True, true, true. Yeah, yeah. I hard relate to that. Like, yeah, your vision becomes a priority, and
Yep.
then execution is the key factor in how successful you are going to be. So, yeah, I relate to it.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. Execution is key. I mean, 70% of all projects fail through poor execution. You're absolutely bang on there. Okay. So you and I have talked about AI in the past, and I know that you've actually spoken on one of the TET events about AI ethics, and that's something that's very big for you. So how does that? I mean, are you fully embracing AI in your business and in your product?
Yes, we are. So when I talk about AI ethics, it's two layer, right? One is using AI, and second, why and how you are using AI, right? So we use AI. Like, my product is a AI based decision framework. So AI is its like base on which it has been built. When I say about AI ethics, it is basically if I train my all out data on a certain kind of people, and let's say, for example, I want, like, maybe you might have heard of this example also, the smartphones, right? There are a few smartphones. If you'll take a selfie out of it, it will make your picture more whiter. It will make your picture more brighter, right? And there are few phones which are, yeah, I'm not talking about all the phones, but there are few phones which does that. Why it does that? Because it has been trained on a certain kind of people, and it doesn't represent a good diversity, right? That's the same problem with the AI. For example, what I think is right, if I have coded it that way, now every user who is using it, they'll all see like what Samir thinks is right is their right, right? But there might be few people who don't agree with my opinion, right? And I have not added that component into my code block or my AI like my training data, right? So they'll never be able to get the whole picture if I don't add that data. And that's what my biggest problem with the ethics is, because who defines the line, right? What is right, what is wrong?
Yeah,
For one country something is right, for another country it might be absolutely wrong. Then
sure.
who is governing it, right? And that's where the biggest problem comes. People start using AI, but they don't understand its implication and what all it can affect in your day-to-day life and decision-making frameworks.
Absolutely. I mean, AI bias is something we have heard of. I wasn't aware of the cell phone example, but that's very interesting. So okay, so tell us about the business end, because I mean, I think with what we spoke about earlier, avoiding this bias must be paramount to your business model.
It is like that. That's what I'll give you an example, right? I was working with Dallas Maverick, and one of my friend who was another small business, he came to me and he gave me his resume, and he said that this is my resume. I want to become a financial analyst, and I have been never arrested in my life, right? That was a sentence that he has to say to prove the credibility. And at that moment, it struck me so hard, right? Why a person has to come to me and say that he has never been arrested in his life just because of his skin color, right? And
Yeah.
even if I want to make it as rational and as practical as possible, that is wrong somewhere, right? And that is what I wanted to look at that problem more deeply, and I understood like we hire people only for three things. One is their technical skills, uh, which makes them the best in what they do. Second is their interpersonal or soft skill, the way they narrate to you, the way they communicate with the team, the way they lead themselves, the way they lead others, right? That is their soft skill. And the third and the most important thing is their personality, which is their aptitude, right? Why they are doing what they are doing, what is their purpose, right? And this is what we thought, and we started creating a product around it, and we call it Maya Maya. Maya basically means illusion, right? So it's
Okay.
what you are projecting, and that's what the illusion of yours is, right? That's what we are trying to crack, and that's what we are trying to show it to the organization or a person so that they understand who they are. And we have seen a huge shift in people mindset when they use this product, because now they start to employees start to understand who they are, and the organization also know, okay, what kind of people they are working with. Are they working with people who are very reward driven? Are they working with the people who are very purpose driven? And both are right at their places, because for somebody who might be working in sales, they might be very much in the reward driven space. They want to close more clients, they want to have higher sales. But somebody who might be an environmentalist, right, who want to just save the ocean, right, they might not be looking for a bigger reward, but they have a greater purpose that, oh, I want to clean all the beaches in the world, right? Which might not be rewarding for them, but they still want to do it. That is a very purpose driven job. So that's what we started figuring out. And then we created an algorithm, and my algorithm is something which I created. It doesn't predict on the basis of one person. It's a very diverse algorithm. So it will take your whole organization and then figure out. So basically what I'm trying to say, it's a multiple AI model, and each model runs for every single individual company, so that there is no cross feeding of data and there is no outside bias that I'm bringing into my model from the outside. So you are never making a biased decision based on any of that framework.
Okay. So let me understand then. So you work with a company and you put in the profiles of their people to identify the best way to work with the people and the best way to encourage them.
Yeah. So
Okay.
basically, yeah. If I can just share my screen, and
Yeah, sure.
I'll just show you like what we are doing. So let me just share this one. Okay. So basically, what we are trying to do is, this is our Maya Maya app system, right? So I hope you can see my screen.
Yep.
Yeah. So there is basically some quizzes are there, right? And these are the questions which are based on the behavior economics, right? Which means like uh, in occupation, everything is about money, right? At the end, you might be taking $0, but $0 is also a $0, which is a money, right? And you might be
Yep.
taking 100,000 out of it. So everything is economics, and everyone has a point where they need to get some kind of money to strive their life. So this is basically, we have different questions where people will come in and they will answer all these questions, and it generates a result for them, which is, you can see like there are different soft skills which are there, and these are the soft skills which we identify daily. We talk about these soft skills daily, and then under each soft skill there are a lot of sub soft skills are there, like self management, self confidence, curiosity. So you understand people as a whole, who they are. And then there is like, you can add your core skills and everything, what you do in your technical skills, all those things you can add up. And then basically this is your aptitude, which is basically your personality, who you are as a person. right? Once you have all this data, this is basically on the employee or candidate end. The businesses get something like this, where they can find out how many people are unfit for their organization, how many people are good fit for their organization. What it does, it gives them an opportunity to find people who are in the neutral or good fit zone and train them on different sorts of skill or technical skills so that they can go to this perfectly fit. Same they can do with the unfit people who are not fitting into their profile. They can teach them the skills, they can upskill them, and they'll get them to the perfectly fit reason for their own organization. And now they have something which they call balance. What happens usually is, like, people who are usually in the unfit reason, they're usually the slackers or someone who might be looking for another job and they might not be happy with your organization. And as a leader, there are often times that we don't know who is unfit, who is not happy in our organization. And these tools give the leaders a chance to find out what is happening with their employees so that they can understand what is the reason why they're not happy and do something about it, rather than waiting for a long period of time and they resign or you make them leave. So we want to avoid that situation, we want to solve that problem. And that's how the system comes into the picture, and it helps different organizations find out more about their employees, as well as it can help them basically get the candidates also. So, like, if you want to hire someone, you can find out who are the people who will fit into your profile, and based on different roles that you might have, how much fit they are. Our system basically cuts down your hiring time by approx around 70 to 80% of the time, because, and it will save you around 30 to 40,000 dollars per hire. So that's what this product does.
That, I mean, that is very significant. And from my experience, I've always preferred to work in small teams, so you can get that intimacy and the team. But in larger organizations, it's very easy to lose people through the cracks and not know what's going on. And of course, I read I think it was a Harvard Business Review. They said that CEOs, I think 43% of CEOs are now saying that the soft skills. I think the question was something like, given the rise of AI, what are the most important skills you're looking at in your employees? And 43% of CEOs said that the soft skills, the interpersonal skills, were much more important to them now than the pure technical skills. So they're looking for that good fit.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, I hope that was a dummy example with 60% of the
That's
employees
a good
being
example.
bad fit.
Yeah.
But so in today's environment, I mean, we talked about the Great Resignation and the post-COVID, and people don't want to go back in the office. Certainly in the tech space, people would much rather work remotely or hybridly. So does your tool actually help avoid attrition and help with retention so that companies don't have to do as much rehiring and gap filling?
Yeah, so what my tool does is, like, it's a twofold thing that it does. One is basically it will give you the personality of different people, and so you understand your employees better. And especially in the remote setting, when you are not meeting them personally, it will help you track down what is changing in their personality and why it is changing, right? The second piece is, let's say there is a position in my company which is open, which is director of sales, right? And I have 10 people who are working the sales team, but it is usual trend that I'll go out in the market and I'll try to find out who can be my director of sales, instead of looking into my own team and finding out if is there anyone who can fill up that role, and with minimal amount of training, right? That is something which people are not doing too much these days, because they are all behind the flashy names and the big titles, right? So that's what this software also does. It gives you the percentage fit basically for different roles that might be open in your organization, which you can do with internal filling. What it does, it creates a brand, a loyalty with your own employees as well. And then you can make them go to the different roles which you have already open in your organization, or you can find out who are the people uh, who might play that role apart from what they are playing, right? So basically we are trying to create a system by which you can keep most of the people in your organization, there are people who are going to leave no matter what you do, right? But we are trying to reduce that number to a significant low number so that you are not losing most people and adding more retraining cost. So that's what this basically solves.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, when I was in the corporate world, I did a couple of internal hires, and I mean, and I wanted to show a career path for the team, but both of them turned out to be complete disasters. And in the end, I went down the agency route. So I said, okay, I'm not going to go through this pain anymore. So I would bring somebody in from an agency, and if they worked out, I would then make them the offer. Um, and then another company. I mean, I was in oil and gas, and I think GE had a policy that if you were in the bottom 10% for 3 consecutive years, you went. It was, so they used that as a cut line to try and constantly weed out the deadwood and make the opportunity for the good players to move up. So I think having some churn is healthy because you're bringing in new blood and you're giving people the opportunity to move. But yeah, with the scarcity of quality resources nowadays, if you've got a good employee, even if it's not the best fit, you want to try and hold on to them and deploy them optimally within the business.
Right. And you need to know their what you want to train them on, right? It's might You might think they might be good marketing fit, but they want to do something in sales and they are good sales fit also, right? And you just need to give them some minimal training by which they can become a perfect fit, right? That's what the identification is, something which is very much required in organizations, and that's what this software comes in, and it will tell you that these are the gaps which you can fill it up, right? Because as you said, it might happen, uh, you might give someone, do the internal hiring, give them a good post, and they might totally tank at that position because they were not trained enough or skilled enough to do that thing. They showed all the good traits what they could have showed, they were the best in the job that they were doing, but they were not a level up which they could do. And the reason might be because they might not had the proper training to do that kind of a job, right?
Yeah,
So that's what we are trying to find, that's what we are trying to help organization build, that kind of a system. And we want like people will come and go, that is something which is going to be the new normal for next decade. With the gig economy and people doing multiple jobs, I can be data scientist in the morning and I can become a social media influencer, a great dancer in the evening, right?
sure.
uh, I hope I dance, but so that kind of thing is possible, right? And everything comes boils down to the one thing, like how much you are earning, how much you want to earn, right? If you are happy with what you're doing in 9 to 5, you won't do anything else after that. But if
Sure.
you want to create a brand name, if you want to be a social media influencer, you will do something about it, right? And that's what the common people are doing, because they are doing moonlighting, they are doing 9 to 5, they are becoming social media influencer, they are creating their own brand and channel. So
Yeah.
in that world, I think it is more important to understand your people with whom you are working, so that you can set your expectation as a business much more clearly than anything else, right? Because the people tried the hard way also. Everybody has to come to office. People started leaving the organization, right? It didn't
Yeah.
help the organization at all, right? Instead, if they would have understand why they are not coming to the office and how they can lower their expectation also, minimum making the same efficacy, it will work out best for everyone. And that's where the biggest gap is right now in the market. So well, I just saw the LinkedIn. There is a company who laid off around 1,000 people yesterday, and
Okay.
I saw another 500 post on it, like which different companies are hiring for that role, right? So there is demand and supply. It just like it's so confused right now. Nobody knows like what is happening. Either supply creation is a problem, demand creation is a problem. So that's where like personality and soft skill will play a bigger role rather than you being the best software engineer in the world.
Yeah. No, I can see that. I mean, that's incredibly powerful. And so my history with hiring has not been that successful. So a tool like this, I can see, is really valuable in, especially in larger organizations where you can't get that personal connection with everybody. Okay. That's very powerful. And obviously, I know you've got some good big clients that you're working with, so that's a success factor as well. So congratulations on that. But let's bring this to a close. And one of the questions I ask, we always want to be providing value to people who are watching the podcast, and obviously within TETN, our mission is to help engineers build their businesses. So what's the one or two best pieces of advice you could give to a founder or someone who's starting an engineering or technology company for them to be successful?
Right. So this is something which I learned pretty late, I think, in my career, because though I'm still young and I have a lot of things to learn, but I still learned very late in my product career journey, which was if you are not eliminating a lot of things in what you're doing, you're not doing a good enough job in creating a product or a business. For example, you might have a product which has, let's say, 20 features, right? You started with 20 features. And then after a year, you added 25, you added 30. But you didn't eliminate it. You didn't started weeding out the things that are not required, right? You're just adding cost to yourself. And same goes with your ideas, same goes with your people, same goes with your organization. Like framework that you might have created a framework that this is how the process has to happen in, let's say, in a factory, right, where you're building steel sheets, right? There's a process that you defined 5 years ago, right? But in 5 years, a lot of things have changed. And if you have not eliminated or weeded out the things that is already changed, you are going to lose the battle in the long run. People think of a process and start optimizing it. The problem with that approach is you even don't know whether that approach is good or not. You're just wasting your time in optimizing something that can be removed completely. So that is something people have to learn in any entrepreneur has to learn, that what is not working, remove it rather than optimize it, and only optimize the things that is recurring and that is never going to change. And then if you have optimized it, then go to automation. Usually, like, people start cycle oppositely. Like, they'll think, okay, what all can I automate, and then what all can I optimize, and then what all I can remove. It should be opposite: first remove, then optimize, then automate. And it
Yep.
goes a long way down the lane, because then you are on a path to create a business or a company which is going to survive the battle of time. Because I think this decade is the decade where a lot of things will change. Nobody would have ever thought that you can just write an email with a prompt, uh, or you can write a college essay with like 5 words prompt, right? But it is a reality, and a lot of things are going to change with quantum computing and all those things coming later down, like in couple of years or 3 years from timeline. Whole process of engineering is going to change. So if you're not weeding out what you don't need, it is going to be very tough to survive in this market.
Okay. So eliminate first, then optimize, then automate.
Correct.
Yeah. No, that's a very good thing. I mean, because we see, especially when I came from the corporate world, we had so much corporate drag. And when I ran a global IT implementation project, to try and get people to do things the new way and say, well, why are you doing this? Why do we need this? Well, we've always done this. Yeah, but you don't need it. There is no value. But we want it, and it now needs to be in the new system.
Yeah.
And I mean, and this is, I think, why they say 70% of IT projects fail, because people are not strict enough at saying that is not value add. We're not building it in the new platform. I don't care if you had it before. You don't need it. You're not going to have it. And people are afraid to let go of the junk they don't need.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That is a very, very good piece of advice. So any founders out there, eliminate all the junk you don't need, outsource it if it's not your expertise, and focus. It's the old Pareto principle.
Yeah,
Focus on the 20% of really important stuff and get rid of the 80% of the junk.
Yeah.
That was very, very useful, Samir. Thank you. Well, we're coming to the end of the time. I appreciate your time. And if anybody wants to get in touch with you and have a chat, I assume you're happy to connect with people and let them call you. So the Calendly link's on the bottom of the screen. And as always, it's a pleasure to talk to you. It's always a pleasure to connect. And hopefully we'll see you at the next meetup, and we can talk about this some more.
Sure.
Samir,
Sure.
thanks for your time.
You so much. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the Texas Engineering and Technology Network Members Spotlight Podcast. If you're the owner or a senior decision maker in an engineering or tech company based in Texas, please look for our group on LinkedIn where you can apply to join. If you're listening through Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you are, please leave us a rating and a review. Let me know what you loved, what you'd like to see improved, and any ideas for future episodes. And if you're ready to take your engineering and tech business to the next level, please subscribe to the Engineers Building Business podcast. And also feel free to book a call with me to discuss how you can move faster towards your business goals, because it's no fun being stuck in a business that's not giving you the desired results. Just visit steampoweredconsulting.com/talkwithdavid or connect with me on LinkedIn. Have a great rest of your day, and thanks again for your support.